We begin satsang always with a question that comes in from our family joining us from all over the world who send in questions on social media or by email or messages. And then we open it up to any questions that any of you have here. So there's a microphone right there in the middle. And after we take the first one, any questions that anyone has, just feel free to come to the microphone and share your name and where you're from and share your question. How do we decide which God to worship? How do we decide which God to worship? That's like saying, I love you, but how do I decide whether I love your eyes more, or your cheeks more, or your heart more, or your hands more? It doesn't matter. Love them all. Who cares? It's irrelevant. As long as you love me, like, I don't care which part of me you love more than another part of me. Chances are it'll vary throughout our relationship. It doesn't matter. Point is, you love me. Ideally, you're going to love the entirety of me. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody who just loved your pocketbook or your, bank account. You want someone who actually loves you. But what part of you they love, what name of you they love, it doesn't matter. A mother's got kids and, one says mom and one says mommy and one says mama and one says mom and, all different names. Doesn't matter. Mom doesn't have a preference. She doesn't love the one who says mommy more than the one who says mom. It's irrelevant. All that matters is that you love mom, whatever you call her, whatever part of her you love. Same thing is true with God. There's not more than one God. What we have are different ways of knowing the same infinite reality. Because if God is infinite, then God is knowable in an infinite number of ways. And so when you look back throughout, what we would consider modern history, going back, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, going from there, our ancient Indus Valley civilization, ancient, Mayans. You go back through all of these different, really kind of the ancient, oldest civilizations of humans as we know them that took place. They all are worshiping some aspect of the divine. Different ways, different languages, but they're all worshiping some aspect of that divine. And then, of course, as the thousands of years have gone on, we've developed even more ways of worshiping the divine, as more and more civilizations have come into being, as more and more languages, more and more cultures, more and more teachers, more and more people who are translating sacred texts and commenting on sacred texts. And all of these become newer and newer sprouts. I mean, I've been in India not even 30 years, just under 30 years, and I've seen, even just before my eyes, the number of even smaller, but legitimate, different sampradayas, different traditions, different lineages that are sort of blossoming up everywhere. It's not that God is different. Okay, we may worship the divine in a slightly different way in this sampradaya, slightly different way in that sampradaya, different way in this dharma, this tradition. But God is infinite. So knowable by an infinite number of ways. We haven't even begun to tap into the full infinity of the ways that God is known. So don't think about it like which God, but ask yourself which aspect of the divine appeals to me. You know, we all fall in love with people. But if you gather, I mean, if I went around and I said, tell me what you love most about your beloved. Everyone here has someone they love. Doesn't have to be romantic love. Could be a parent, a grandparent, a child, a best friend, could be your pet. But we all have someone of some species we love. But if I went around and I said, what do you love best about the one you love? Chances are that almost all of us would have something different to share. We're all experiencing the same love. But we are attracted to love, brought into love by something slightly different for each of us. Doesn't matter, that's beautiful. Wouldn't say, oh, well, God, you know, you love it because of that, or you love because of that, or you feel this. That's wrong. You should only feel love like this. Doesn't matter, just love. And in the same way, just be connected to God, whatever manifestation, whatever reflection, whatever name. Just connect. Whatever way connects you, just connect. Yeah. Wonderful question. Other questions? Any question that anyone has? Yes, feel free to come up to the mic.
Namaskar. Am I audible? Yes. My name is Kamaljit Singh. I am from Mumbai. Now the question is a little complex before my mind, but I'm sure the solution would be simpler than I think. Now, we understand that there are 25 elements as taught to us in the Sankhya philosophy of Purusha and Prakriti. So the Chitta, which is one of the elements of the Prakriti, when it becomes clearer by the time of the practice we go ahead. But the Chitta sometimes, now this is beyond my experience, so I just want to know from you, like from your experience. So when the Chitta becomes absolutely clear like a canvas, free of all the vrittis, again there is an illusion that this is the Purusha, but it is still not the Purusha, because it is still the Chitta, which thinks it's like a Purusha, it's a reflection of the Purusha. So when we reach at a point where the Chitta illusion of being the Purusha, Chitta is still not the Purusha, drops down, what are the markers at that point? Though it's a long journey for me to reach there, but still from your experience, can you put some light on this?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So, questions are always more complex than answers. And the most important piece to mention, I'll get into the specifics of what you asked, but there is a slight danger in the world of philosophy. Meaning, the world of philosophy is wonderful. I love it. Wisdom, Gyan, it's not only is it a powerful path to the divine, Gyan Yoga, but it's the way that shows us the truth. It's the way of wisdom. It is the way of understanding, the way of knowledge, the way of realization, the way of truth. The dilemma comes in that we have different ways of knowing. One way of knowing takes place like chin up. And it's the way of knowing in our brain. Like from the chin, it takes place just here. like you could say neck up, chin up, but it exists here in my brain. It is an intellectual, cerebral way of knowing. And when we say something cerebral, we literally mean like it is taking place here in my cerebral cortex. My understanding is anchored in my brain. Wonderful. The dilemma is, what a lot of us have found, myself included, is there are times in your life in which you understand something perfectly. It could be spiritual philosophy. It could be your own emotional patterns, your own psyche, relationship issues. It can be anything. Situations in which you understand it perfectly. Cerebrally, you're set. And yet, you are unable to implement it in your life. You know exactly why you get angry, and you keep getting angry. Every day you pledge, I'm not going to get angry today. I know that I just get angry because it's my expectations, and it's this, and yet I get angry every day. You understand exactly why you cheat on your spouses, or you hit your kids, or you abuse drugs or alcohol or food, or you suffer, whatever it may be. We understand perfectly. And yet, the pattern continues. And as anyone who's ever experienced that knows, the communication from that which is in my cerebral cortex to that which is in my energetic heart, to that which flows through my pranamaya kosha, my energetic sheath, it seems like they don't communicate at all. It's very challenging to take something that I understand only in my brain and actually have it bring any change in my life. It's why we have so many people who are so highly educated, and yet every year we have more depression, more anxiety, more loneliness, more violence, more separation, well, you'd think if people are getting more and more educated every year, somewhere along the line we'd figure out like how to be happy, right? Somewhere along the line we'd figure out how to make peace. This disconnect. And I mention this in the beginning because it's a beautiful question, and we'll look at it. And if you are someone who finds yourself struggling a lot with the brain, well, but this is this and that's... I'll give you a personal example. I'm an academic by life experience, and a good academic. I've always loved school. I've always excelled in school. It came quite easily to me. I needed things to make sense. As long as something made sense, I was good with it. If it didn't make sense. And when I came, a few years after I came, we had this beautiful Shankar Bhagwan erected in the middle of Ganga. And I asked, why does Shiva have a belly button? Think about it for a moment. Belly button means you've come out of somebody's womb. It's one purpose and one purpose only a belly button serves. It's where the umbilical cord gets tied off when you come out. Why does Shiva have a belly button? And it troubled me every time I looked at it. And everybody I asked, from Pujya Swamiji to all of the other saints who came here, everybody, gave me basically the same answer, which is, it's just the way he's depicted. Like, deal with it. It's okay. It's just a beautiful artistic rendering. But my academic brain, that didn't work. Either he should be depicted as one without a belly button, like he's the divine. He did not pop out of somebody's womb. I mean, at least with Bhagwan Ram, Bhagwan Krishna, like we have stories of their Leela that do involve having a birth mother. So it would make sense, not with Shankar Bhagwan. So the academic part of my brain was causing my heart to, every time I sat on the banks of Ganga, instead of being able to be just ecstatic on the banks of Ganga and in love with Shankar Bhagwan, my brain would start going about the artist who did this and why would he do it and it doesn't make any sense. Now, eventually, the work that I had to do was figuring out how to get out of my head and into my heart, because clearly the blessings that I was supposed to get from Shiva had nothing to do with an understanding of why the artist decided to give him a belly button. The teachings and the blessings were much, much, much deeper, and that my own attachment to this must make sense was actually what was blocking me from having a powerful spiritual experience. Our brains can do that to us. And so while I love the path of inquiry, the path of philosophy, the path of study, the path of Gyan, you want to just make sure that you are not filling yourself with so many mental questions that you are losing the opportunity to have an experience. So for example, you spoke about an experience of Chit, this consciousness, being this blank canvas. We speak about it frequently as being like the screen upon which movies are projected. Well, that's a really powerful experience. That is a high level, you could say, if you were going to put spiritual experiences into a hierarchy. You could say that is a very high spiritual experience, because what it means is that you were able to experience the consciousness, the self, as not that which is projected upon it, not the story, not the narrative, but actually that which is always empty, upon which things are projected. A beautiful spiritual experience. But what happens, your brain goes, is this Purusha? And you've lost it. The minute the brain comes in, it's over. Is this Purusha? But if it changes, it could be Prakriti. But so what am I really experiencing? And it's over. The possibility that you had of having a deep, sustained spiritual moment is over the minute you try to start analyzing it. Now, just to speak to that, and for the benefit of others without going into too long of a description, when we speak about Purusha and Prakriti, in general, what we're speaking about is that which is eternal, unchanging, Purusha, and Prakriti, the manifest world, that which is changing. Prakriti is also the word we use for nature. So you can think of nature as that which is born and it changes and it dissolves. It's beautiful. It's not neither is better or worse, but it's that which is unchanging and that which is changing. Now, honestly, that experience, the consciousness itself, is unchanging. Your experience of consciousness is changing because look, you had it, now it's gone. You had it, it's gone. To the extent to which it is dependent upon the state of your brain, well, your brain is prakriti. Here today, gone tomorrow. Consciousness, in its most infinite, eternal manifestations, because of course there's different ways of defining consciousness, but when we define it as that unchanging, eternal, pure awareness, it's unchanging. Even whether you experience it or not, your consciousness is there in deep sleep. You're not aware of it, but it's there. But when the brain kicks in, then you bring the change into it. Because see, now I experience it, now I don't. I'm the blank canvas, I'm the light of experience, the light of awareness. Oh my God, I'm the guy who has to do the grocery shopping. Instead of wondering so much about what I call the taxonomy of spirituality, taxonomy is the subject in which we give genus and species names. We say, oh, this is this genus, this species. We are Homo sapiens. Okay, that's what we are. That's the box we are in. Good to know if you're a taxonomist. But spiritually, our goal is to break borders, break boundaries, break boxes. We're looking for the eternal. So rather than getting into a spiritual taxonomy of, is this this or is this this? Allow yourself just to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because here's what's beautiful. Spirituality is coming home. You don't actually need a GPS that someone else has created. You're coming home. The techniques that we've been given to walk the path and sticking with, a tradition of philosophic inquiry, traditions of who am I? Ko-hum, so-hum, aham brahmasmi. Who am I? These practices are going to take you deeper and deeper. As you have that experience of the blank canvas, the blank screen, allow the intention to be to hold that, to stay in that, as long as you can. That's the goal. Don't let the games of the ego that are constantly trying to put us into boxes and higher or lower, is it this, is it that, is it better than this, oh, am I advanced yet? Is this the advanced version I'm experiencing or the beginning version I'm experiencing? And it's a moot point because by the moment that you've figured out which you're experiencing, you're no longer experiencing it. Allow yourself to just stay in the experience and to recognize, I am that light of pure awareness. I am that light of pure awareness. I am that. I am that. And stick with that and allow yourself to go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And then if when you're not meditating, you want to do more and more study, more and more reading, fantastic, by all means. But keep it out of your meditation. Let there be two separate aspects to your sadhana. Do the reading, do the learning, it's wonderful. But when you're meditating, try not to let the academic mind, the mind that classifies, try not to let that into your meditation. Yeah, beautiful. Other questions? Yes.
Hari Om Sadhviji. I'm Jaideep from Delhi in California. I just wanted to express my gratitude to you for all that you've inspired and for the light of the self that you've revealed. And a small prayer. I'm going to be leaving tomorrow. I just want to pray that you can bless us to see Ganga and the divine wherever we are. And thank you for everything.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's a yes and. In the ultimate truth, Ganga is everywhere, the divine is everywhere. And there is something that is uniquely powerful right here. And it's important to hold both. It's not either or, it's yes and. So now as you go, yes, allow as you look at every body of water, see it as Ganga. Every body of water, can you see it as Ganga? Wherever you go, can you see that divine? And remember that you have a connection to a place that's really, really, really powerful. And allow yourself to keep coming back or stay connected, tune into Arti, tune into Satsang, tune into Yagna, so that you can stay connected to that. Ultimately, eventually, ideally, we get to a state of consciousness where it is utterly irrelevant where we are in the world, who we're with, what we're doing, what they're doing, because we are so anchored in the divine. But until we get there, it's important to give yourself that yes and, that yes, here is this body of water. But be careful, I almost got myself arrested, actually. It was my very first week or two that I was back in America after being in India for the first time for the first 3 months. And then Pujya Swamiji sent me back, long separate story, but sent me back to finish my classwork. And it was New Year's morning. And I had been meditating New Year's Eve. I had meant to go to parties and then ended up in an all-night meditation that I had not actually even intended to do, but just happened. And when my eyes opened in the morning, I had these lists that I had written during the night. And they were lists. One was titled, Thank You, God. Like, here was the list of things that I was so thankful for from the previous year. And the next one was my vows for the upcoming year. And the third was the blessings that I want. Like, okay, God, you've given me so much, but just on the off chance that you're still in the mood to be bestowing blessings. Like, I'm not greedy, don't get angry, but if you're still in the mood to bestow blessings, here's what I would want. And when I had been here, whenever there was anything to give to Ganga, Pujya Swamiji would have me burn it into ash, and then to take that ash and offer that ash to Ganga. Now we don't dare put anything in Ganga, but that was 30 years ago. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. So it was New Year's morning. And, you know, everybody's up late New Year's Eve, so New Year's morning, nobody was around. San Francisco Bay Area also is super, super, super foggy, especially in the mornings, early mornings. And so I went out to the bay. I was alone, sitting on these rocks. And I had my notes, my letters, and I had a little steel kotori and lighter or matches, I can't remember, but something to burn them. And I burned them into ash inside the kotori. And I had my own beautiful, like, New Year's morning puja ceremony on what to me was Ganga. Like, okay, I'm going to see Ganga everywhere, so I can see her in the San Francisco Bay. And I chanted the mantras I knew, and I had incense, and I did my arti to Ganga. And I offered these lists into her. And I was feeling actually so full of divine connection. And I look up, and there's this huge sign that says, "Fine for littering the bay, $1,000 and imprisonment." And I called Pujya Swamiji, and I said, "I've just committed a felony. Like, in the most love and devotion and bhav, I literally could have been fined and arrested should a policeman have been watching." So, yes, see all bodies of water as Ganga, but be careful, because you never know exactly what trouble that might get you into. And stay anchored to Ganga here. That ability to see Ganga everywhere is going to be contingent upon the strength of your connection to Ganga here. So stay connected. Wonderful. Yes, of course, of course. Any other questions? Yes. Stay, pranam.
In our daily life, how to attain peace?
How to attain peace?
Should we be mere mute spectators to our surrounding while we are alive and active?
I'm so sorry. I got the first part about how we attain peace. I missed the second part.
Second is that should we be a mere mute spectators to our surroundings while we are alive and active?
Okay. We are most definitely not meant to be mere spectators. Bhagavan Krishna makes this very clear in the Bhagavad Gita. 700 verses that tell you, stand up and play your role. Stand up and play your role. There's no audience in this. There's no role being given out as just the audience. You got to play your part. Do your duty. And the peace that we experience comes from playing that part with the awareness that it's the part that's been given to us by the divine. So we're not comparing parts. We're not saying, oh, that's not fair. He got that part. I got this part. She got that part. God, I wish I had a different part. It's a full acceptance of the part that you've been given in the divine drama, this scene of it, playing it fully. Fully. My favorite story about this is the little boy who tells his mom in the morning before he goes to school, he was very excited that they were having auditions for the school play that day. And he really wanted a part. He was very excited. And he goes to school, he comes home, and naturally mom is, anxious. What happened? And he said, oh, I got a great part in the school play. And his mom said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank God. What part did you get? And he said, I get to sit in the front row and applaud really, really, really loudly. Now, to the adults, we realize that that was just basically a nice way of not giving the kid a part. But it was a part. It was a part. It was a part to sit and to clap. And instead of being upset and devastated of, oh, it's not fair, I wanted to be the one on the stage, not the one in the audience. The child's acceptance of that, I love the story. I share it all the time because it's, we share the teachings that we need. And for me, that's such a powerful teaching of just how can you always, with that child's innocence and love and acceptance, just take whatever the universe gives you. Whatever role it gives you, how can you be that excited about every opportunity, every role that you get? And that's where peace comes. That's where peace comes. doesn't come from finally getting to be the one who gets the star leading role in the play. It comes from being able to take whatever role you're given, love it, play it to the fullest of your heart, but also simultaneously realizing you're not the role. You're not the role. That's just your costume, your mask, your story. You're not the role. You're the one playing the role. And keep remembering who I am. Oh yeah. Okay, my role got thrown in jail. My role got fired from their job. My role got dumped by the husband or the wife or the boyfriend or the girlfriend. My role got this. Okay. I'm not the role. I'm the one playing the role. With that type of detachment, with full commitment, that's where peace comes from. Yeah. Great question.
I remember a small joke on this, if I can share.
Sure.
We all play our roles equally well. So our friends would ask, how do you help your woman? We say, she does half of the work and I do half of the work. We say, how? So she cooks and I eat. She washes and I wear. So even this is equally important. So I remember this joke.
Yeah. The version of that type of story that I prefer is, it was some famous person. I can't remember who it was now. Anyway, some famous person was asked the secret of his very long and very successful marriage. They'd been married for 50, 60 years. And he said, well, you know, at the very beginning when we first got married, we made an agreement. And the agreement was that she would make all the small decisions and I would make all the big decisions. And he said, and I'm very happy to tell you that in 50 years of marriage, we've never had to make a big decision. Yeah. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. And I look so forward to seeing you back in Satsang tomorrow. And so much love to you all.